Hey guys, I got a new video or content that I want to start sharing. Again, this channel is definitely meant for people who are kind of like learning mixed games in general. And I want to point out some mistakes either that I make that are easily fixed or that my opponents make. And we're going to call this section or this little brevity of a session compared to like my normal sessions. We'll call it mixed fixed. So played a session the other day I was going to record and post, but what ended up happening is the game broke pretty quick. But I did get a few hands in, three-handed, and I figured that I want to show you guys also some of the hands that I played and where either I mixed up or I think my opponents can probably change their strategy and improve. So without further ado, let's jump in. This is the first hand. This is a stud 8 or better hand. So here Bond is the bring in with a 7, and I have an 8 up with buried deuces in the hole. I have an opponent behind me with a queen. I think this is a pretty clear open raise, three-handed. So what's going to happen here is Bond is going to open. I'm going to raise. Dosser folds, and Bond calls with a 7. And on 4th Street here, I catch pretty much my effective gin card. You can definitely make the case that an 8 is also one of the better cards that I can catch. But catching a suited ace, so if you think about like what my range looks like, it's probably split 8s, buried big pairs, buried pairs, 4 flushes, low combos. Basically, this connects with me on every single hand in some way or the other. And Bond, when he catches the 9, unless he's got like 6, 7, 8, the 9 almost never connects with him. And there is one specific combo that I would say that he either has or could have, depending on what action we see if we get raised at any point. Now, what I would say is that when my... I'm going to bet here 100% of the time. It doesn't really matter. My opponent hasn't raised me on 3rd Street, so like range on range, I still think I probably have a slight equity edge. And when I catch the ace of clubs, I have I have for sure like an equity edge here in this situation, range on range. There's no question. So I don't think my opponent here should ever raise this hand. With that being said, sorry, hold on one second. Let me move the. One second. Okay, so with that being said, here we're going to play this one. So I obviously go ahead and bet, and we get raised. Again, when I catch the absolute gin card in my hand, and my opponent should probably have no raise here whatsoever, this is absolutely scary. I don't even know if my opponent here has 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that his hand is just basically boiled down to 2 hands. I would maybe say 3 hands, depending on your opponent, but almost effectively this hand now just becomes trip 7s, trip 9s, maybe 9s and 7s, but I think that's a little bit doubtful. So again, one of the things that I think you can correct is when you have these situations where your opponent's board is extremely strong, when they basically catch their best card, and you have a really strong range, unless this is a total misclick, we're going to play this hand out, we're going to see that it's not, you definitely should just be calling, because given the fact that I caught my gin card on 5th or 6th Street, I'm going to be doing a ton of leading, given now that the fact that I lead, I have the ace in my hand. So most likely here on most turns, because the 9 does not connect with him very well, I'm going to be leading 5th Street a very high percentage of the time, which means that if he does have 3 7s or 3 9s, he gets to raise me. And also if like somehow I catch the, we'll say the 3 of clubs or something like that, if he wants to wait for a safe 6th Street, he can do that, even though I'm not saying that's necessarily the right play. But so when he raises here in this situation, alarm bells are just going off in my head. And we'll play it from here. I'm even kind of thinking like he has a 7-9, like what's going on here? I call. Again, I catch a good card for my range. I have 3 low cards up there. The 6 is good for like an 8 open because it makes some straight draws for me too. He catches a 10, so theoretically if he's got 8-6, which I don't think he has when he raises, he's made a straight, but I've pretty much eliminated that at this point. So go ahead and check, and he bets again. If he bets into ace 8-6, that's very scary. We don't love it. And you know, as a counter for like my hand here, if I just made a low and I do have a straight draw, like now is the time to go ahead and check raise. I shouldn't be leading into him. He raised me when I caught my best card. I should definitely go ahead and try to check raise here, but I have deuces, so I'm not going to check raise because I'm pretty sure he's really strong. Here I catch open aces now, and again, because of that raise, I'm not going to be putting in a bet in this situation because I don't think he's got sevens and nines. I think like that raise specifically is just rolled up. Sorry, I thought my son was waking up there. He was not, so we are good. Going back though, so we make open aces here, and I'm not really concerned about nines and sevens. I don't think he has nines and sevens, so when I make open aces here, I'm still under the impression that I'm up against sevens or nines rolled up. So like checking aces here, I think is what we should be doing. And if we make three aces here, like this becomes an easy check raise, given the fact that our opponent just decided to raise us on, give us like all this information now. But again, I'm still under the impression that we're against rolled up sevens or nines. So we do have aces up and we do have a low draw, so we're still going to continue, even if we get bet into, but we're going to check the aces now. He bets again. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if I brick here and I catch if I catch a 7 and a 9, 7 or a 9, I guess I'm paying off the river. But if I catch like a jack, I was pretty sure I was going to fold. But we do call, and we do make a low in the river. And like for us, this just becomes an easy check raise. Nothing really else. Like I said, I'm not afraid of 8-6. So we are basically free rolling here to like somehow come up against a hand that we just somehow scoop, which I don't think is possible, but we do check raise. He does have nines full of threes, so his hand was rolled down nines, and he decided to raise us on 6th Street. But again, I think that is a pretty easy correctable mistake, and something that we just want to point out for people watching. So that was the first one here. We'll go to the second one. Give me 1 second. All right, the second hand here, and again, I'm not going to try to pick on any individual player, but where I see the mistakes, I want to point them out. So this one here is a hand where we have a very strong hand in the big blind. We have a 1-card 7 draw, induces 7 triple draw. And our opponent 3-bets from this, we have opponent raise button, opponent 3-bet small blind, and then we have an easy cap here with a 4-card 7 draw with a deuce in our hand. So we do that. And so far this hand is kind of like just played out how it should, I would say. And it's going to go 2. We're going to draw 1. And it's going to go 2. So in a 2-1-2 situation, how it usually should go is the 2 should check, the 1 should bet, and then after that the action kind of like follows through. We do catch an extra deuce here, so obviously this is like good for our hand. Not that it matters too much in this hand, but our opponent here leads out, and again, this is just a very easy correctable mistake. I would just say that like anytime you make a pat hand, if you make a pat hand in this situation, you should just go ahead and like try to check raise. I don't think you should realistically go for like a bet 3-bet in this situation. Like this is just a spot where you go ahead for the check raise against your opponents. They're most likely going to put money in the pot. Dotzer's here trapped behind. If he's drawing 2 again or 1, he's just going to put more money in. I'm going to bet in this situation. So, and if you lead in this situation, I'm still drawing 1. There's no guarantee that I'm going to raise or do anything like that. But in this situation, when I caught a deuce, I'm like, well, if he's got to draw 1, we have position, we might force out the button. So we decided to go for the raise. We catch extra deuce, and he 3-bets. So now it's almost like always, this is going to be a pat hand. So we call. And then Dozer calls, so it's going to go 0, 1, and then Dozer should have a 1. Yeah, he's got a 1 draw here. And then Bond leads, and we call, and we call. And at this point, I think the hand just kind of like plays out as like a standard. Bond here checks small blind. Don't think we have a value bet with the 9. We have some hope at showdown once he checks. We have some showdown value, I think, with 9-7, but I don't think it's strong enough to bet. So we're going to go ahead and check here. and then Dosser checks behind with a pair of threes, which seems totally fine, and Bond shows up with 87 perfect. So again, I think the correctable mistake here in this situation is he can just go ahead and check raise, try to check raise the first draw when it goes 2-1-2, because he's got a nice little spot there to trap the player in between. So that was the second hand, and we have one final hand here. Let me go grab it. All right, the last hand here is an ace to 5 hand, and on the button here we have a really strong draw again in a 3-handed game. We have 2, 4, 5, 6, so we're drawn to a 6 with one card. So we're going to go ahead and open the button. Dosser calls. Bond 3 bets. Again, we have an easy 4 bet here. If Dosser folds, that's a bonus because he should have some draw 3s. He doesn't, but this spot it's going to go 2-2. Not quite sure how often the big blind here should be. I'm not going to critique this per se, but I'm not quite often sure how against a raise and a call you should be 3-betting a draw 2, but we'll save that for a different day. And then we take 1, we pair a 5 on the first draw, and obviously that's good for us that we block an extra 5 our opponents would probably want. So it's going to go check, check. We're going to bet in position. One second. Check in position, sorry. And we catch a 9. So now the hand becomes a little bit more interesting, I would say. Because, again, in a 2-2-1 spot, if our opponent's pat, he should definitely be checking to us again. Because in position, in a 2-2-1 spot, we're going to bet. This is the big street, too, so if I get any folds, it's super beneficial for me. And if he makes a pat hand, he can check raise me. Again, I think he's missing out on value if he's pat in this situation, and if he improves to 1 card draw, I don't think he should be betting. So my assumption, given the fact that I did see him play that deuce to 7 hand earlier, is that he's pat. Now, I kind of make a tricky hand here because I make 9-6, and if he does have something like an 87, or maybe like a 7 he would consider breaking, I want to go ahead, I think, and raise this close to this specific combination, because if he does draw, if I get him to break something and he does draw, then I become a significant equity edge to the point where it's really beneficial for me, obviously in position. So I do go ahead and attempt to get him to break something. So I go ahead and raise the 9. Now, also too, like, I'm not going to do this every single time, because a lot of times you're just lighting money on fire and your opponent can just go ahead and 3-bet you pretty liberally if you do this every single time with a good 1-card draws. So usually I have to have something, I would say, in this situation. Dosser folds, he stands pat. Obviously we're going to break the 9 once he stands pat. I think we have, we probably have a little bit of equity with the 9, but we have so much more equity by drawing. We catch a queen, and we're just going to go check, check. And he has 7-5. So again, like, the hand that he chose here to 3-bet out of the big blind, I don't really love, again, just because, like, he doesn't block an ace. So that's just kind of whatever. But again, the correctable mistake for sure is on, with one more draw to go and it goes 2-2-1 and he makes 7-5, he can definitely go ahead and if he thinks that this hand is valuable enough to bet into a 2-2-1 spot, he can just go ahead and attempt to check raise it. But again, that's just kind of like the easy fix. Yeah, those are the 3 hands. So we'll see how everyone kind of likes this format a little bit better. Again, if you like what you see, like, subscribe. If you need to get a hold of me, put the comments, any of the comments down below. I have my email down there. If you'd like to open a Phenom account, then there's a link below. That helps me out and supports the channel, keeps me motivated, and keeps me giving good ideas to make new content as well. But as always, I wish you luck at the tables. And if you guys have any hands, and again, like I've said in the past too, if you guys have recorded a session, I would be more than happy to comment and get back to you. But if you guys have a couple hands that possibly you want to send to me that I can possibly review and give you some feedback to, I can do some format like this as well. So until then, good luck at the tables, play well. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.